Whatever rocks your socks, whatever spins your top, whatever winds your watch, whatever flips your flop, whatever turns you on, whatever flies your flag, whatever bangs your gong, or whatever swings your bag. Do it often, but do it well, 'cause nobody knows and there's no way to tell when the ride ends.
Good morning. Welcome back to Turtle Beach. How was your week? My week was great. Thank you for asking. I had thought to do this early in the morning before the street woke up and got noisy. And because I'm up at 4:30 every day and once I've had my coffee and a shit, what else is there to do? So the street, as you can see, there's no sea view for 10 days or longer with the festival out here. There's traffic on the road. Never traffic on the road. Welcome to the Turtle Festival. The Turtle Festival, boy, it's been a busy week here. Here, I'll show you. These are lighters. These are all cigarette lighters. These are the clean ones. I had set it up out here around the next turtle that I'm building. This is to go outside the Nitnoy store where I buy my cigarettes. And this is a new tool in the shop, huh? Look at that. A bandsaw. Oh, I've wanted one of these for a long time. For cutting lighters. Trying to make a curved or bulbous object like a sea turtle out of rectangles. It's a tough assignment. Here's boontongs. As always, boontongs on permanent exhibit. Bob the Turtle still going strong. I'm going to come over here and talk at you. I have somehow lost the beautiful little tripod / selfie stick that CK from Seacology brought to me all the way from Singapore. I had that thing, a couple weeks, maybe? A couple weeks. What do I want to talk about? The festival. So the festival's over. Well, it's not over. It's still going on for a few more days, but it's just shopping and little kids up on stage singing and dancing, and food for I think 3 or 4 more days. The parade was the first day, and the parade is something I've been working towards. If you haven't been watching the channel, why not? I've been building a float for the parade for a year, and the day comes. I bought 10 shirts because I had thought there was chatter online. I thought at least 10 Falang were going to walk with me in the parade. Turned out to be one, John Armstrong, bless his heart. He came and walked with me in the parade. So John Armstrong now can say he was the first Falang to ever walk in the Turtle Day Parade and on Turtle Beach in Thailand. Good for you, John, and thank you for joining me, and thank you for all the help. John is a very generous soul, and for that I paid him back by biting his head off. I reinforced or reaffirmed, that I did a story. I got paid by People magazine many years ago, and I'll make this brief. It's a digression and not what I want to talk about today. A guy named Chuck Betcher came to Phuket and went off his meds. He was schizophrenic, very wealthy guy from Colorado, and died in police custody. The police said he jumped off his bunk head first into the bars and broke his neck. At any rate, he was found in a cell with a broken neck, an American guy, and because he was wealthy and well connected in the Republican Party, A bunch of investigators came looking into it, and People magazine came, and they paid me to squire them around the island and interpret for them. And it turned out that poor Chuck had gone trekking in Nepal, and he had thought that all that clean air and exercise had cured him of his schizophrenia. So he stopped taking his meds. And by the time that kicked in, he was on Phuket and he went nuts. He did a lot of property damage. He tried to kill himself. He tried to kill other people. He ended up in a cell and he ended up dying in that cell. And I think, 35 years later, yeah, he threw himself off the bunk. I think he had a psychotic break. He wasn't being watched. He needed 24-hour supervision. But at any rate, I did the same thing. After 18 months on Turtle Beach, I thought, oh, Steve will be cured to the point that Steve can allow other people to touch this parade float that only Steve has touched for a year, that Steve has worked on for a year, that Steve has thought about and dreamed about for a year. Now all of a sudden I'm going to invite these strangers into my house, and they're all going to have ideas. Hey, let's do it this way. Let's tie it up with this rope. Let's do over here, and grab the tools out of my hands. Grab the tools physically out of my hands. And I blew up. I flipped out. I made the whole thing awkward and uncomfortable and embarrassed a bunch of people, most of all myself, because I ain't cured, right? 18 months on Turtle Beach is not enough to cure Steve of his narcissism, of his personocentrism, and I snapped at people, and I apologize for that. I'm very sorry for acting that way and making the whole thing weird and awkward. It should have been a fun day, and I fucked it all up, because 18 months is not enough to cure a guy, I guess. No matter how happy he thinks he is, no matter how over it he thinks he is, over himself he thinks he is, no, there's still work to be done. So thank you for all the patience that was shown to me by the people who came to help me on that day. All right, listen, one other thing, and I don't really know how to say this. My cousin David died this week, and you don't know David. I barely knew David. David and I were very different people, and we didn't hang out together a lot. He was a jock in high school, and I was a hippie, and I never played a sport in my life, and he lettered in 3 different sports, and never touched a cigarette in his life, hardly ever touched any alcohol. But we lived close to each other for decades. We grew up down the street from each other. I loved the guy, and I will miss him. I'm sorry that the last years of his life were so painful and so degrading. And I hope he's in a better place. Let me just say that. I hope he's happier where he is. And if I keep talking, I'm going to cry. You don't want to see that. So, I'm going to read. I'm going to read you something. I'm going to read you the first thing I ever wrote in Thailand, 1988, published in Phuket magazine. I would go on to publish in every issue of Phuket magazine, 9 issues a year for 10 years. 90 issues of Phuket magazine, at least one story in every issue. A couple hundred issues of The Nation, a couple hundred issues of Phuket Gazette. I wrote a lot of stories in the 80s and the 90s about Thailand, specifically about Phuket. I was thinking about it this week because I got in an argument with a guy online because he pronounced it Phuket. I said, no, it's Phuket, dude. That's why there's an H in the name. It's an aspirated consonant. And he said, oh, it's dialect. Different people pronounce it different ways. My dialect is different from your dialect. No, you just made a mistake. Own it and move on. Anyway. I was thinking about Phuket back in the 80s. This is the first story I ever wrote about Phuket. I don't think I've ever read it here before. I'm going to take off my glasses to read it. Yeah. Actors will put Preparation H, they'll put hemorrhoid cream right here under the eyes because it takes away the swelling. Yeah, I'm about 2 or 3 videos away from putting hemorrhoid cream under my eyes. Beach Blanket Bingo by Steve Rosse from Phuket magazine, 1989, I think. I went surfing with my friend Paul yesterday. When Paul and I go surfing, each of us does what he does best. Paul surfs, and I sit on the beach and smoke cigarettes. Paul is wiry and strong and tanned like old leather. He's missing a finger, and he has the scar of an old bullet wound on his shoulder that he won't talk about. He lives on 3 acres in Nai Han with Ot, his wife, in a house that's half Farang and half Thai. He likes the teak and the bamboo. She likes the brick and the tin. Go figure. Paul's been on Phuket for 11 or 12 years now. Ot met him when she was in her early teens, and he was living in a ratty shack behind her uncle's restaurant on a piece of the hill where the Phuket Yacht Club is now. She decided at that impressionable age that Paul was attractive, God knows why, and she set her cap for him. 6 years ago, they were married. We get decent surf on Phuket only during the rainy season, so the rest of the year, Paul works on additions to his home or clearing his land, or else he sits on the porch with Ot and watches the rice grow. But for 3 months every year, you don't see Paul except from shore, as he weaves and races and spins on his board, all glistening brown skin and flashing white teeth. Yesterday, after 2 hours of strenuous exercise in cold water, Paul came bounding up the beach full of energy, with the board slung under one arm. He's shorter than me and about 20 pounds lighter, but I once strained a muscle just taking that board out of the Jeep for him. He tosses it around like it's a toothpick. Even before you hear Paul speak, you know he's Australian from his grin. He grins with his whole body. If he had a tail, he'd wag it like a puppy's. I asked him how was the surfing, and he said, "It ain't Oz, but it's wet." As he sat down next to me, I opened my second pack of Marlboros that day and offered Paul one of the 3 or 4 cigarettes he'll smoke in a week. We talked a little gossip and mourned the local fishermen who went down with their boats in the first big storm of the season. And then Paul went off to his Jeep to do some shopping for Ot, and I headed home on my motorcycle. As I drove out of Nai Han Bay and started up the first of the big hills on the way to Kata, I was thinking about Paul and his life here, how he was the perfect expat, completely assimilated into a new culture without losing any of the comforting details of life back in the world. He eats bacon and eggs for breakfast and curried prawns for dinner. He knows the names of every rice farmer for miles around his house, and the names of their wives and their kids and their dogs, too. "G'day, mate," and "Fair dinkum" have become part of the patois of Nai Han Thai. I thought about all this as I carefully wound my bike up the long hills and compared my own success as an expat to Paul's. Despite the time I've lived in the tropics, and in an aside, I had not yet done a visa run when I wrote this. I had been here less than 3 months, fewer than 3 months, but I knew nobody wanted to read the opinions of a guy who had just got there. So I created this persona, this guy who'd been here lots longer. Nowadays, of course, vloggers shoot themselves stepping off the airplane. You don't have to be here long to have gravitas, to express your opinions, tell people how to do shit when you literally just stepped off the plane. What a world, what a world. I continue. Despite the time I've lived in the tropics, my skin is still the same pale white it was when I lived in New York City. Not only can't I surf, I don't ever go within 30 feet of the water. I never drove at home my entire adult life. I traveled by taxi or subway, and I've spent more money on repairing damages to my motorcycle after accidents here than I did to buy the damn thing. I am ambivalent toward Thai food. I don't dance. I drink only moderately. I'm faithful to my spouse, all of which regulates me to neutral observer status in Phuket's famous nightlife. I'm about as unlikely a candidate for expat status as you could imagine. And a day watching Paul frolic in the surf brought that fact painfully to my mind as I crested the top of the hill over Kata and made the long, slow swing to begin the descent. At the scenic viewpoint, I slowed down to look out over the 3 bays. And as I passed, a fat old Thai lady selling sodas from a card table under an umbrella called out, "Satay! Satay!" Once, months ago, I stopped and bought a Fanta from that old Yenta, and I sat under her umbrella to drink it. We made pleasant conversation that day. I introduced myself, and like almost everyone in this country, she heard my name as Satay Rot. I haven't stopped there since then, but with my skinny legs and my battered old motorcycle, I'm easy to recognize on the road. And every time I pass, she hails me. Yesterday, I was elated by that woman's bastardization of my name. With that one word, I imagined, she endowed on me the expat status that I so envied Paul for. Ending a sentence with a preposition, Steve. Despite the Thai preoccupation with status and correct appearances, which is an obsession, not a preoccupation, an obsession, they are generally speaking the most accepting people I've ever encountered. And I knew that given time, I would be as at home here on Phuket as Paul is. Maybe even to the point that the Thais in my neighborhood will sprinkle their speech with, "What's happening, babe?" I swooped down on Kata Beach, grinning into the wind, not quite as well as Paul grins, but a healthy smile nonetheless. It's not the beaches or the food that are the real attraction of this island for foreigners. And this time of year, it's certainly not the weather. It's the simple fact of common human hospitality. The people of Phuket have only one industry, the hospitality industry. They make no cars or shoes or toys or planes. All they make is people happy. Come, be at ease, they say. Make a place for yourself for a day, a week, a month, or 10 years. A place for yourself, made by your own design, far from where you were originally placed on the earth. If you have that, you're an expat. Heck, anyone can do that on Phuket, whether they can surf or not. Even I can do it. The end. All right, well, I can't do it on Phuket now. Phuket has changed completely. So have the Farang. You know, the idea of a Farang kicking a Thai female in the back and videotaping himself doing it. What? Oh, everywhere I go in town, people say, "Steve, don't kick me, don't kick me." It's a big joke. Oh, they hate this guy? They hate this guy? I'm surprised nobody has poisoned his damn elephants. This guy, he needs to find another beach, man. He is no longer welcome in Phuket. Phuket people are sick to death of bad guests. We have, over the 30 years since I wrote that story, we have outworn our welcome, and there's no Phuket people on Phuket anymore. Of course, they left a generation ago. Everybody on Phuket now came there to make a living. They have nothing invested in that place. They don't care about that place, and they certainly don't care about you, white guy. And you know, you film yourself touching a woman of status, a physician, with your foot. Yeah, you're lucky they don't hang you from a tree, dude. Other places in this world, you'd be hanging from a tree for doing that. Anyway, that was Steve's first published piece of writing in Thailand. in Phuket Magazine. And thank you to Patrick Cusick for buying that. It was a month's rent. I used to get paid a month's rent to write those things. Well, all right, that's it. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you have a terrific week. Like, subscribe, and please share. Apparently the algorithm really likes that. Thank you for joining me at the Turtle Festival this last week. And thank you for joining me here now. This is the most important time of my week. I really, really appreciate your paying attention to this. And I hope you have an absolutely fantastic 7 days until I see you again. Goodbye. Well, I'm here at the academic division of the park, and there should be people here. There's shoes outside, but the place is deserted. The door's open. Nobody here. I found a dead turtle on the beach, which is about the size of the ones they just released at the festival. I'm thinking this is a baby turtle that was released at the festival. It didn't make it. Ate a bag or something as soon as he got to the sea. And I would think the scientists would want to cut him open and see what's in his belly. But there's no scientists. I may just take him home, feed him to the ants, polish up that shell, and hang it on my wall. It's blatantly illegal, but nobody else seems interested in him. He doesn't smell too bad. He's been soaking in seawater. Anyway, I'm going to give it 2 more minutes, and then I'm going to take off. There's a truck here. There's shoes here. The door is standing open, and there is not a soul in sight. I've been telling jokes in front of turtle art, including murals, but this week I wanted to break it. Thank you. I wanted to break it up a little bit. This is a rot song tale. Here, let's see. And this is the guy who used to drive the Rot Song Teo. He used to park here in this alleyway every day and take you where you wanted to go for 10 baht. He's enjoying a cigarette off the bus while people wait on the bus for him to take them on their way. So a joke. This one comes from my mom. She says, I went to my favorite tobacconist yesterday, only to find out that now it's a haberdashery. So closed, but no cigar. He's laughing, right? He's laughing. Have a great week.
Whatever shaves your sheep, whatever bakes your lamb, whatever digs your peak, whatever smokes your ham, whatever blows your nose, whatever chews your bone, whatever squirts your hose, whatever sings your song, do it often but do it well. Nobody knows and there's no way to tell. When you're riding, shoot down to that